If you think you've already played every masterpiece the industry has to offer, you might want to get ready. Some of these games redefined entire genres. Others divided opinions but proved their worth over time. And then there are the ones that just launched and have already made it clear they were born to become legends. What do they all have in common? A 10 out of 10 rating, real impact, a permanent mark on gaming history. There are no good games here, only titles that changed the standard, raised the bar, and became essential references. Now the question is simple. How many of these have you actually played, and how many are still waiting on your list?
Who's dead?
Well, for a dead man, Odin seemed pretty keen on
God of War Ragnarok. Starting off with a titan, God of War Ragnarok is the definition of prestige gaming. Even in 2026, it stands as a 10 out of 10 because it mastered the technical art of narrative momentum. Most games lose steam halfway through, but Ragnarok uses its engine to keep the stakes climbing. The no-cut camera isn't just a gimmick here, it's a massive technical hurdle that requires the game to stream high-fidelity assets for 9 different realms without a single loading screen. That level of background data management is what keeps you glued to the screen. There's no exit point because the story never stops moving. From a technical standpoint, the combat animation layering is where it truly shines. When Kratos swings the Blades of Chaos, the hit stop and screen shake are calibrated to the millisecond to provide a physical sense of impact that most action games lack. The elemental system, where you can freeze an enemy with the axe and then shatter them with a runic attack, requires the physics engine to calculate brittle state interactions in real time. It's a game that feels heavy, expensive, and emotionally exhausting in the best way possible. It didn't just raise the bar, it broke it.
Are you coming with us?
Devil May Cry 5. If Ragnarok is a drama, Devil May Cry 5 is a technical heavy metal concert. This is a 10 out of 10 because it is the absolute peak of action game design. Built on the RE engine, it achieves a level of animation fluidity that feels almost impossible. The game runs at a rock-solid 60 or 120 FPS, which is a technical necessity for its frame data combat. You aren't just pressing buttons, you are performing. The style system is actually a complex piece of code that evaluates your variety, timing, and airtime, rewarding you with a dynamic soundtrack that gets more intense as you play better. The character rigging for Dante, Nero, and V is incredibly complex. Every move has a startup, an active, and a recovery phase, and the engine allows you to cancel these animations with surgical precision. This is what we call high skill ceiling tech. It's worth your money in 2026 because there is simply nothing else that feels this responsive. The cloth physics on Dante's coat and the particle effects of his demonic transformations are handled with a PBR, physically based rendering pipeline that looks stunning even years later. It's a 10 out of 10 because it's pure, unfiltered gameplay perfection. Resident Evil 9 Requiem. Now, let's talk about the new gold standard for horror. Resident Evil 9 Requiem has just arrived, and it's already secured its 10 out of 10 status by being the most technically ambitious horror game ever made. Capcom has evolved the RE engine into something almost photorealistic. The big technical flex here is the global illumination and real-time ray-traced audio. In Requiem, sound doesn't just play, it bounces off surfaces. If you're in a stone cellar, the echoes are cold and sharp. If you're behind a velvet curtain, the audio is muffled and dampened. It's a sensory trap that makes your skin crawl. The AI stalker logic has been pushed to a terrifying new level. The enemies in Requiem don't follow set paths, they use a systemic hearing model. If you knock over a bottle or breathe too loudly into your mic, they will find you. This creates a level of emergent horror that makes every playthrough different. The asset density in the environments, the decaying architecture, the wet mud, the visceral gore uses Unreal Engine 5 level nanite technology to ensure that even under a microscope, the world looks real. It's a mandatory play because it proves that horror isn't just about jump scares, it's about a technical atmosphere that refuses to let you breathe. Cyberpunk 2077. We have to talk about the greatest comeback in gaming history. In 2026, Cyberpunk 2077 is no longer just a game, it's a technical showcase of future tech. This is a 10 out of 10 because it is the definitive path tracing experience. If you want to see what your hardware is actually capable of, you load up Night City. The path tracing simulates every single light source in the city, creating reflections and puddles and shadows on faces that are 100% physically accurate. It's a visual feast that makes other open worlds look flat and dated. But the real 10 out of 10 value comes from the systemic AI and world density. After the 2.0 and 2.1 overhauls, the city feels alive. The traffic and pedestrian logic creates a chaotic, believable metropolis, and the cyberware system offers a level of build diversity that is staggering. Technically, the way the game handles verticality, letting you leap across rooftops or hack into buildings from a distance, requires a massive amount of CPU calculation to keep the world state consistent. It's a game that respects your time by offering a world so dense with content and visual detail that you can spend 200 hours in it and still feel like a tourist. It is the ultimate cyberpunk simulation.
You are an easy target when you step out. Even I see.
Death Stranding 2 on the beach. If there is one game in 2026 that makes you feel like you're actually touching the future, it's Death Stranding 2 on the beach. Hideo Kojima has always been a technical mad scientist, but here he uses the Decima engine to achieve a level of environmental physics that is frankly intimidating. This is a 10 out of 10 because it turns the terrain into the ultimate antagonist. Technically, the game features a proprietary terrain deformation system. When a flood happens or an earthquake shifts the map, the topography actually changes in real time. This isn't just a visual trick. The engine has to recalculate Sam's balance and the friction coefficient of every new surface on the fly. The photogrammetry here is the best in the industry, bar none. The character models for Norman Reedus and Elle Fanning utilize 4D performance capture, which tracks not just the movement of the skin, but the subtle muscle shifts and blood flow underneath. It creates an emotional connection that is purely technical. The social strand system has also evolved. You're no longer just building roads, you're managing global logistics with other players in a way that feels like a massive, invisible community. It's a slow, cerebral, and technically breathtaking experience that humbles every generic open world. It's a game about connection that uses the most advanced tech on the planet to make you feel every step of the journey. Marvel's Spider-Man 2. If you want to understand the concept of technical velocity, look no further than Marvel's Spider-Man 2. This game is a 10 out of 10 because it solved the problem that has plagued open world games for decades: streaming speed versus asset density. Insomniac Games utilized the PS5's SSD architecture to its absolute limit, allowing Peter and Miles to move through New York at speeds that would literally crash the engines of previous generations. Technically, the data streaming pipeline is so fast that you can slingshot yourself across the East River, and the game renders the high-poly skyscrapers of Brooklyn before you even land. The ray tracing implementation here is the gold standard. Whether you're swinging past a glass-clad office building or diving into the Hudson River, the real-time reflections and global illumination are flawlessly integrated. But for me, the 10 out of 10 soul of this game is the DualSense haptic feedback. The triggers provide a specific resistance curve for the web swings, making you feel the tension of the line. The spatial audio engine also tracks every siren, every civilian shout, and every gust of wind, creating a 360-degree soundscape that makes New York feel like a living character. It's a polished, high-octane masterpiece that proves that fun and technical perfection are the same thing.
Sorry, Birdie. This is just as awkward for me as it is for you.
Valley of Bristlebacks, then send White East to Barren Light. I'll catch up with you there.
Horizon Forbidden West. Even with newer games hitting the market, Horizon Forbidden West remains an untouchable 10 out of 10 for its visual density and biome complexity. Guerrilla Games' Decima engine is essentially a nature simulator. The technical highlight here is the microgeometry and shader complexity. If you look at the metallic plating of a tremor tusk, you can see the wear and tear, the rust, and the way light scatters off the different metal alloys. This uses a high-end physically based rendering system, or PBR, that makes every machine feel like a functional piece of heavy machinery. The underwater environments are still a technical miracle. The engine handles volumetric water physics and caustic lighting in a way that creates a genuine sense of pressure and depth. When Aloy swims through a sunken city, the lighting isn't faked. It's calculated based on how light would actually filter through the sediment. The animation blending for the machines is also top tier. They move with a weight and a mechanical logic that makes their AI feel sentient. It's a massive, beautiful, and technically flawless epic that offers a level of world building that justifies every penny. It's a game that makes you stop every 5 minutes just to use the photo mode. And in 2026, it still looks like it came from the future.
Corey's safe.
Ranger, come on over here. We gotta talk.
Let's see that boat.
A Plague Tale Requiem. To close out this block, we have a game that pushes the technical boundaries of crowd simulation and emotional intensity. A Plague Tale Requiem is a 10 out of 10 because it achieved something that was previously thought to be a hardware breaker, the Rat Swarm engine. We aren't talking about a few dozen rats. The engine can render up to 300,000 individual AI-driven rats on screen at once. They flow like a liquid, reacting to light and sound in a way that is technically horrifying. This requires a massive amount of GPU instancing and pathfinding logic to keep the frame rate stable, while a literal sea of teeth chases you. But beyond the rat tech, the art direction and global illumination are breathtaking. The way the Mediterranean sun hits the red stone of the islands, or the way the fog clings to the French battlefields, creates a gothic beauty that is unparalleled. The facial performance for Amicia and Hugo is some of the most raw and heartbreaking in the industry, utilizing high-fidelity facial capture to convey a level of trauma that most games shy away from. It's a strictly linear, focused journey that uses its technical muscle to strip away the video game layer and leave you with a pure, devastating experience. It's a masterclass in how technical scale can be used for narrative impact. Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. When Rebirth first dropped, it was already a 10 out of 10 in terms of scope. But in 2026, especially with the PC release and the PS5 Pro Encore patch, it has reached its final perfect form. Technically, what Square Enix achieved with the Unreal Engine 4, heavily modified, is a miracle of world scaling. We're talking about a seamless transition from the claustrophobic streets of Midgar to the massive, sprawling plains of the grasslands. The 2026 technical updates fixed the blurriness issues of the launch, introducing a dynamic resolution scaler that keeps the game at a razor-sharp 4K while maintaining 60 FPS even during the most particle-heavy summon animations.
The real technical soul of Rebirth is its materials and lighting overhaul. If you look at the leather on Cloud's harness or the fur on Red 13, the PBR, or physically based rendering, is so dense that it reacts realistically to the time of day lighting. The global illumination in the Shinra Manor or the jungles of Gongaga creates a sense of depth that makes the world feel lived in and ancient. It's a 10 out of 10 because it captures the feeling of a grand adventure. It's a game that respects your nostalgia while pushing a technical fidelity that makes every minigame, every battle, and every emotional beat feel like a premium experience. It is the ultimate gamer's RPG.
Where are the other units, sir? Up ahead. Come on. Yes, sir!
Hollow Knight Silksong. The wait was legendary, but Hollow Knight Silksong is officially here, and it's a 10 out of 10 technical masterpiece that humbles the entire Metroidvania genre. Team Cherry took the precision of the first game and combined it with a new physics-driven movement engine. Hornet isn't just a skin swap for the knight, she moves with a momentum-based velocity that requires a level of input latency optimization that is rare in 2D games. Every jump, every grapple, and every silk shot is calculated with sub-millisecond precision, making the platforming feel like an extension of your own hands. Visually, Silksong is a technical flex in 2D hand-drawn density. The game features multi-layered parallax scrolling with up to 15 different planes of depth, each with its own volumetric lighting and particle effects. In 2026, the game supports native 4K at 120 FPS, which makes the animation of the silk and the fluid movement of the bosses look like a high-end anime in motion. The soundscape tech has also been upgraded using spatial 2D audio to help you track enemy positions in the dark vertical shafts of Farloom. It's a masterpiece because it takes a perfect formula and adds a level of technical polish and speed that makes it impossible to put down. It was worth every second of the wait.
That what you call finding out a little?
Once he opens up,
Red Dead Redemption 2. Yes, it's back on the list. In 2026, Rockstar finally gave us the enhanced edition of Red Dead Redemption 2, and it is a technical revelation. They didn't just unlock the frame rate to 60 FPS, they integrated ray-traced global illumination and reflections into the Rage engine. Technically, seeing the sunset reflect off the ripples of Flatiron Lake with path-traced accuracy is a 10 of 10 visual experience that makes modern 2026 games look dated. The volumetric cloud and fog systems have been upgraded to current-gen standards, making the ride into the Grizzlies feel like a physical, cold experience. But the real reason it's a 10 out of 10 in 2026 is the unmatched NPC persistency. While other games struggle to populate cities, RDR2's AI lifecycle remains the gold standard. Every character in Saint Denis has a purpose, a job, and a reaction to the world. The material fidelity, the way mud caked onto your horse's coat dries in the sun, or how snow accumulates on Arthur's hat, is a technical, obsessive detail that hasn't been surpassed in 8 years. It's a mandatory play because it's the most human simulator ever built, now running with the technical power it always deserved. Ghost of Yotei. To close out this block, we have the new king of the samurai cinema genre, Ghost of Yotei. Sucker Punch took everything they learned from Tsushima and rebuilt it for the Unreal Engine 5 era. This is a 10-10 because of its environmental reaction tech. In the shadow of Mount Yotei, the snow isn't just a texture, it's a deformable physics mesh. As Atsu, your movement leaves deep, persistent trails in the snow that affect your stealth and tracking. Technically, the wind and foliage engine has been upgraded to handle nanite-level grass density, meaning every blade of grass is a unique 3D object that reacts to the wind and your footsteps. The dynamic soundscape is the secret weapon here. The audio team used acoustic ray tracing to simulate how sound bounces off the volcanic rocks and through the dense forests. You can hear a sword being unsheathed behind you with perfect directional accuracy. The weapon counter system replaces the old stances with a more kinetic physics model, where the weight of your weapon determines the frame data of your parries. It's a visual and technical powerhouse that uses the PS5 Pro's PSSR upscaling to deliver a clean image that looks like a high-resolution photograph. It's a 10/10 because it captures the spirit of the samurai with the most advanced tech available in 2026. Silent Hill 2 Remake. If you want to talk about technical atmosphere, we have to talk about Silent Hill 2 Remake. In 2026, after a series of massive PS5 Pro Enhanced and PC Ultra patches, this game has become the gold standard for psychological horror tech. What Bloober Team achieved with Unreal Engine 5's Lumen is nothing short of a miracle. The fog isn't just a filter, it's a volumetric physics-based entity that reacts to James's flashlight and the movement of the monsters lurking inside. Technically, seeing the light bounce off the damp, decaying wallpaper of the Woodside apartments with ray-traced accuracy is a 10 out of 10 visual nightmare. The facial performance capture is what really puts this over the top. James's micro-expressions of grief, confusion, and terror are rendered with a skin shader density that makes him feel disturbingly human. But the real technical humbler is the 3D spatial audio. Every creak of the floorboards and every distant metallic scrape is calculated based on the room's geometry. It forces you to play with headphones, turning the environment itself into a weapon against your sanity. It's a 10 out of 10 because it's a perfect bridge between 2001's soul and 2026's raw power. It's not just a remake, it's a technical resurrection of a masterpiece. Assassin's Creed Odyssey. Now this might surprise some people, but in 2026, Assassin's Creed Odyssey has reclaimed its throne as a 10 out of 10 essential. Why? Because of the Ancient Greece 2.0 technical update. Ubisoft released a massive current-gen overhaul that finally unlocked the game's true potential. We're talking about 60 FPS at native 4K, with a complete asset streaming upgrade that removes all those old-school texture pop-ins. Technically, the way the Aegean Sea is rendered now, with improved tessellation and wave physics, makes it one of the most beautiful bodies of water in gaming history. The Mercenary and Conquest AI remains a technical standout that many modern games still can't match. The game manages a persistent, moving hierarchy of hunters that react to your crimes in real time. But for the passionate player, it's the scale versus detail balance. Being able to ride from the top of a mountain down to a bustling port city without a single loading screen, while the engine handles hundreds of NPCs with unique schedule logic, is a feat of optimization. It's a 10 out of 10 because it is the ultimate vacation simulator. In 2026, it runs with the smoothness of a brand new title, proving that a great engine and a beautiful world are truly timeless.
Must not burn through. Shit.
Clair Obscur, Expedition 33. To finish our list, we have the undisputed breakout hit of 2025-2026, Clair Obscur Expedition 33. This game didn't just win Game of the Year, it technically reinvented the turn-based RPG. Sandfall Interactive used Unreal Engine 5 to create what I call cinematic kinetism. Technically, it's a turn-based game, but it uses real-time reactive tech. You have to physically time your parries and dodges during the enemy's turn. This requires a level of frame-perfect input polishing that makes every battle feel like a high-stakes duel. The art direction, inspired by Belle Epoque France, is rendered with nanite-level geometry, meaning the architectural detail on the buildings and the intricate lace on the characters' outfits are rendered with millions of polygons. The global illumination creates a dreamlike, surreal atmosphere that feels like a living painting. But the 10 out of 10 worth is in its innovative audacity. It humbles the big AAA studios by proving that a smaller team can use the most advanced tech in the world to tell a heartbreaking, original story that feels totally fresh. It is the perfect game to close this list because it represents the very best of what the future of gaming looks like: innovative, technically flawless, and deeply emotional.
And there it is, the 15 absolute best games, all worthy of a 10 out of 10 rating that you simply cannot miss in 2026. Whether you're a fan of the classics or someone looking for the next big revolution, there's something here for everyone. But now I want to hear from you. Out of these 15, how many have you already platinumed? And which one is next on your list? Do you think Expedition 33 deserved all the hype? Or are you still riding with God of War? Let's get the conversation started in the comments.